What is going on, guys? And in today's short intro to this chapter, we're going to just talk about what led to the idea of Confederation. So, during this time, British North America had been developing very quickly. You had colonies in the east and the west side of British North America. So, if we look at this map of Canada, how is it different from our typical Canadian map that we see today? Well, the obvious difference is they have one colony here and then the rest of the colonies on the East Coast. And you need to understand that during this time, there wasn't one government governing all of these colonies. They each had their own separate governments, and they were each responsible for their own things. So it was a land divided. And then all in the middle here, that's the Hudson's Bay Company ran this part in Rupert's Land in the Northwestern Territory. It was home to thousands of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So, who do you think might be interested in gaining control of this land during this time? There's a few people, a few nations that could come to mind. There's the United States. There's the fear of the United States coming up north and invading. There's also the Russians that could have came over, but then there's also a few other factors that play into it. But mostly they were worried that the United States would come up and take that land. So the idea of joining together through confederation is just a fancy word for joining up and creating a team, an alliance among all of the colonies of the British North America, and basically they saw it as a way to deal with political, economic, and military issues. They could band their resources together, they could create a bigger army, and they would be able to fend off any potential threat from the United States. So geographically, British North America was very large. Obviously, Canada is the second largest country in the world, so it's massive. And its system defense was inadequate for its size, so they didn't have a really good army. This made the colonies and territories an easy target if the Americans decided to push north across the border. Many American settlers were already claiming lands south of the Great Lakes that were populated by First Nations, such as the Potawatomi and Cheyenne. The Americans displaced these nations in pursuit of more land and resources. In what way was this similar to what was happening in British North America at the same time? Well, the Americans had the idea of manifest destiny. And what manifest destiny was a belief in a clear right and duty to expand throughout North America. So these Americans had this idea, this idea that it was their right and their destiny, basically, to expand throughout all of North America. So that's why the British, and the colonies, they were worried of a potential American attack. So as they succeeded in advancing west, many Americans believed it was their manifest destiny or obvious right to take over all of North America. So examine this painting. Look at this painting. What is the main message that the artist is trying to convey here? So I just want you to pause the video, take a look at it. They're pointing across this vast territory of land. It's just showing that idea of expanse and capturing territory. So yeah, that was one of the biggest threats, and one of the reasons why they wanted to. That's one of the reasons. Oops, that they wanted to join or have Confederation. Then there was also the American Civil War going on at this time. So from 1861 to 1865, the United States was engaged in a civil war. It was a war of succession. So withdrawal from a larger group, such as a country. A number of southern states wanted to break away from the rest of the United States. The main reason for this separatist movement was the overall disagreement about slavery. Most of the northern states had abolished slavery, while the southern states relied heavily on slave labor for their economic growth. The southern states tried to form a separate nation where slavery would be legal. Britain declared itself neutral in the war. Neutrality meant Britain could continue to trade with both North and South states. Britain strongly condemned slavery, however, but it also took measures to ensure the South did not cut off the supply of cotton to the British textile mills, and the supply of cotton relied heavily on slavery. The large army of the northern states won the war, keeping the United States together and ending slavery. This war caused death of more than 600,000 Americans, and it also increased American resentment toward Britain, and therefore toward British North America for its divided support during the war. So if we look at figure 2.4, what American threat is implied? So if we look at this picture in this 1861 cartoon by John Bull, the symbol of Britain asks Brother Jonathan, a reference to the Americans, where they are running to. The Americans respond, just going to take Canada. How would this cartoon increase fears of United States invasion of British North America? The way the cartoon shows, these guys kind of look a little crazy. We're just going to take Canada. This guy's, and that, also look at their body, right? They look like almost possessed and like very skinny and hungry, and they're just going to take Canada. Like it'll be not a big deal at all. So I'm gonna end that video just today, just focusing on those two main reasons. So the fear of Americans, right? The fear of the invasion from the United States, that idea of manifest destiny, and the American Civil War, that resentment that it caused between the southern states and not having Britain on their side. All right. In the next video, we're going to talk about the annexation by the United States.